Frederick. When Renee first comes upon Frederick, she is wide-eyed with wonder. That brown mouse seemed to be just like me, she announces, staring at the cover of Frederick, a Leo Leone book Nisha has just read to the class, because I'm always usually thinking about colors and words. The same like him. To me, Renee does not much resemble Frederick. He is a field mouse who stubbornly refuses to help his friends gather food for the winter, spending his time instead composing poems and stories. This shall be his contribution to the welfare of the other mice, with or without their consent. Renee, on the other hand, is as curious about her friends as she is about herself. Frederick concentrates on his own ideas to the apparent exclusion of all else, reminding me more of myself than of Renee. I do not mean to be critical of Frederick, artist and poet, but I do wonder about the lack of guilt he feels towards his friends. He is certain they will remain loyal to him even when he turns away to think his private thoughts. In adult life, such loyalty is problematic. Of course, Renee is used to the ways of young children, who generally are rather glad to have nonconformists in their midst. Having identified with Frederick, Renee is compelled to investigate further. She takes the book to a table and turns the pages slowly, tracing the mice with her finger. They sew, she sighs, unable to complete the sentence, but she knows she must learn to draw these mice, to put her brown crayon to the task. The first picture Renee copies is of Frederick sitting with his eyes closed under a warm yellow sun, while the other mice struggle to carry ears of corn to their hideout in the stones. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. He's so quiet. In his stillness, Renee finds her words. Frederick's not as nice as them, Corey argues, puzzled at her friend's new interest. He's being mean. Renee touches Corey's arm. That's not the same as mean. He's thinking. Anyway, those others is nicer, but I still like Frederick. Look how his tail is, Corey. Don't you love his tail the way it goes? Can you do the eyes for me? Corey asks, pushing her paper in front of Renee. I look up to see 5 children drawing mice. By some unspoken agreement, they are following a new curriculum. I'm not hardly doing eyes yet, Renee replies. They the hardest to do, but I'll do it for you. But it might not be good. These kind of eyes is the hardest to do. The eyes they want to reproduce are little dark circles inside larger white ones. Simple, yet uncommonly tender and kind. Though Frederick's behavior seems odd to his friends, they continue to watch over him with a warmth that creeps into the reader's soul. I wish I could have been regarded this way by the other teachers when my preoccupation with writing books made me seem distant and distracted. They do act nice to Frederick, Renee explains, because they know thinking's not being mean. You has to be quiet for thinking. Jonathan calls out from the sand table, you could anyway think if you're helping. But Jenny disagrees. Remember when I had a story in my mind and Mrs. Paley said no because it's clean up, and then I forgetted my story? Frowning, she waits for my response. I'm sorry, Jenny. Frederick's friends would have let him tell his story while they cleaned up. You mean think his story, Renee says. Oh, look, hear the way he closes his eyes that way. She squeezes her own eyes shut, continuing to draw, but gives up after a moment and hands me the book. Can you read me it again? While I read, she rubs the textured colors, trying to feel their depth. Frederick sits gazing at the meadow, his back to the others. And now, Frederick? I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. There are fragments of other colors to copy, a bit of green moss, a reddish acorn, and an orange flower. Before Renee picks up the brown crayon again, Frederick's eyes are lidded, a half circle of tan across the top. Are you dreaming, Frederick? They ask reproachfully. But Frederick said, oh no, I'm gathering words. My crayon is dreaming, Renee says, marveling at the lighter-than-ever shade of brown she creates for the eyelids. Look, Corey, blankies! You want me to make these blankies for your eyes? She laughs at her own joke, then holds up the book for everyone to see. Guess what, she declares. This is Leo Leone we doing. Who is Renee, if not Frederick? Her imagery lifts our spirits in the way Frederick's poetry cheers his friends when the food supply is gone. Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how they're golden glow? And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the four little mice began to feel warmer. They Leone mice. Rini's song circles the other artists at the table, and they respond humming and dedumming variations on the original melody. Their smile flickers like the sunbeams through our gray Chicago windows. In the course of a morning, the children have taken up such matters as the artist's role in society, the conditions necessary for thinking, and the influence of music and art on the emotions. From Rini's simple assertion that brown mice seem to be just like me has come a preview of the introspective life. And I thought, by some way, to be too introspective, thought, though never by Nisha or the children, have met a little girl with a brown crayon, an author with a magic paintbrush, who will outshine me in their search for the mirror of self-revelation. Who is Mr. Leone? A visitor asks. Leone corrects him. Rini corrects him. That's Frederick's, he's Frederick's friend.